morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. Sarah Albadwi and Andy Serling as we embark on a Sunday card, close out today's week. 9 races, fast and firm. Looking forward to today's card. We got 3 stakes on today's card, all on the turf.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We have nice weather. It seemed like maybe we wouldn't for a second, but it's a beautiful day out.
Yeah, 4 weeks left of turf racing. I think 4 weeks from today is scheduled to be the last turf race of the meet, so looking forward to a lot of good turf racing. Head over to NYRA Bets. We are now less than 2 weeks away from the Breeders' Cup. Use the promo code CUP25, and we will match the $200 of your initial deposit and give you a free $25 bet towards the Breeders' Cup. Play through NYRA Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Play through NYRA Bets. We have a 5,000 hit and split on the late pick 5 here at Aqueduct. Opt in over at NYRA Bets for that. We've also got a 10% win bet bonus on Santa Anita. If you're playing Santa Anita, you'll want to opt in for that. We may have something at Keeneland also, Eddie. We have a 10% exacta bonus if you're playing Keeneland. Keeneland's down to their last few days of racing. And we are on from 1 to 5:30, covering all the action today on FS1 from 1 to 5:30. Race number 1. Well, Sergeant Caps is back, and we'll take a look at his last race, and he does have a real edge in this field in speed figures, but he's a horse, Sarah, over 17 with 8 seconds and thirds that just does not seem to win.
No, and that's the concern for me. I just don't like taking these types at short prices, whereas I guess you could make the argument that you can isolate his dirt sprints, and then it doesn't look like quite the resume that he's built up of having this career of not getting the job done. But at the same time, I just don't really see how I'm supposed to take this one with a couple of horses that are a little bit more lightly raced or dropping in for a tag for the first time, and a couple of first-time starters as well. I get that he has the edge on speed figures. He shouldn't be too far out of it early, but I just couldn't put him on top.
Okay, what am I missing with Into Inspiration?
First time in for a tag. This horse, if you look at his races coming back from when he was off that little bit of a layoff and he was in here in May, that was a day where being inside was somewhat beneficial, and he was always dueling between horses for the forward position against maiden special weight types. Then they try him at a mile and an eighth against Stars and Strides, who is just better than what he's going to be facing here. Came back to win with a 90 Beyer speed figure. The log on the turf didn't work out either, but then he finally gets back to dirt sprinting, and I know that he loses at an extremely short price, which I don't love.
I mean, I don't know how you get past him losing at 1 to 5 with a 3-length lead top of the stretch at Finger Lakes. To me, that's the definitive race that makes it impossible to pick him in here.
But I thought the race after that was actually a better effort than it seemed, where he was running against some horses that we did see Volunteer Fireman come back and run well with a big improvement in his Beyer speed figure. I wish the race last time was a little bit better.
Right.
There was
the
something
problem with him
the
is that you're right. He's got 1 or 2 races in there that make him a contender in here, but he's got some races that are inexcusably bad. I get it, but I didn't see him as a contender. I've gone to the number 2 as my alternative, getting back to the dirt for Rick Dutrow, and you look at his 2 dirt races, and while they're nothing special, they're easily good enough to compete here, and I think he's just getting back to the surface he belongs on. It's only the 3rd time for Rick, who tried him long on the turf, then he tried him short on the turf, and I'm not sure why anybody decided he was a turf horse just because he ran a sort of fake figure in his 1 race at Ellis in a race where he really didn't do much running. The reality is, I just think he's going back to the surface he probably should have been on all along. Thought he was the most logical alternative to the favorite in this race. Won't be any great shakes, but I prefer free spin. You're not a free spin fan, I see.
Not today.
All right. See what happens in race number 1, where I also would take some attention to the 1 No Filter, a firster for Phil Antonacci in this race, especially for him. I think you want to pay attention to that horse. Race number 2, there are probably 2 main players in here. I'll be interested to see what the prices are. David seems to think that Brave Buck will be a heavy favorite over My Man Matty. I have some reservations about that as we look at My Man Matty, but in reality, in fairness to the line, the feed figures do favor the other runner. My Man Matty, though, took a very tough beat in a race that I think is better than that 63 Beyer suggests.
Well, and also, look, we haven't seen a lot of My Man Matty on the racetrack, but we know that he's capable of running off of an extended break and also putting races back-to-back. If you go all the way back in time, yes, of course, he was a better horse by then, but we also saw Timaeus, a horse that beat him, come back and run a huge number in winning yet again. I think that he was with the flow of the race that day, but at the same time, we're seeing a horse come back and be in good form, and looking at him versus a horse who's been at this level for a little bit longer and is once avoided claim now off of that last race, I thought it was possible that My Man Matty might be faster early on than Brave Buck.
Well, it's definitely
yeah,
faster than So is Dad's good runner. Yeah, there's no question that my man Matty's the speed in the race. That does give him the advantage, and that's one of the reasons that I thought he might be favored, despite the speed figure difference. And I also wonder if people are going to look at that last race as a lot better than that performance because it was a fast pace. Listen, my man Matty ran very well behind a horse that came back and improved to win his next start, and I kind of agree. I think he's the horse to beat in this race, and I took Brave Buck because I actually thought he'd be a bigger price. And we look at his last race. You've got a Linda Rice horse that she claimed that she just seems to do well with horses that she wins with moving forward. I don't love this horse by any stretch of the imagination, but I just thought I actually thought this horse would be the bigger price of the two, and I didn't think there was that much difference between them. I also don't totally trust my man Matty because he feels like a horse for Bruce. He ran so well last time. I wonder about him if he's just one that's a little bit less reliable than Linda, who's pretty reliable off wins.
Well, he's clearly not reliable when we've seen him a couple of times, 7, and he's a 7-year-old, so something is not having him race on a regular basis. But at the same time, I think that he's one where with Brave Buck, I just didn't necessarily see the races to go back to that suggest we're going to see exactly something like we did last time, and that he was off for a little bit of time.
Hang on. He's got 4 career races. 2 of them have mid-70 buyer numbers, so I'm not sure that I can think that you can substantiate that. He has 1 bad performance, really bad performance. He ran a 63 in his debut, so I don't think you can defend. I mean, you don't have to like him, and you can prefer the 7, which I totally get. But you say back to come to. His last race is in line in a lot of ways with at least 1, if not 2 of his 4 races.
I guess that you do have to go back a ways for those kinds of numbers from my man Matty, so I think that that's fair.
You mean 2 months before he ran his winning race last time? I mean, you're not.
Well,
I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but you're not making sense based on reality here.
Listen, I think that looking at the kind of races that we see from Brave Buck, where he does have that 1 bad performance, and then a race that I don't think wins it here with a 63 buyer, we've at least seen something in the Wayback Machine from my man Matty that's faster. You have to go back a ways. If it doesn't matter to you, that's fine.
You prefer the 7. You don't need to make up reasons that you prefer the 7 or the 4. He's the speed. His last race was good. I get it.
What's made up?
Well, you're going to say now in like a 63 in his debut, you're indicating that somehow his last race is some sort of outlier. It's not an outlier.
I'm not saying it's an outlier.
You did. But anyway,
okay.
we could go back and watch the videotape.
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay. Race number 3. We're on the turf in race number 3. We'll take a look at, first of all, I'll talk about the horse I have on top, Puko Mucha. I understand. She may not really have a winning type. She's a 7-year-old mare that they're finally running where she belongs. The reality is she doesn't have a ton of pedigree. She's not a great stakes winner. So I don't really know that she has great value as a broodmare. And if somebody wants to claim her for 50 and make her a broodmare, they can have her because she's just running where she can win at the end of her 7-year-old career. And I just think she's a better horse than the one she's running. I don't think she's a little better. I actually think she's a lot better than the horses she's running against. She's not even the morning line favorite. I find it crazy that she might not be favored in this race.
She's been in some tough spots for the kind of company that she's going to be running in here. I think that she's one that if you're going to beat her, it might be by being ahead of her. But I thought that that was really the only way. I picked her second because she's just shown up against some quality company throughout her career, and I couldn't really look past that when looking at the type of class that she's been facing. So I think that she's the likeliest winner of this race, but I wanted to try to beat her on the front end with a horse getting a little bit more distance to work with and forward deployed, who I don't really know how good she is, but I thought that she would have more forward position.
Well, she'll probably be slightly in front of Poco Mucho. I assume that lucky for me on the outside, that rider would probably go. So your contention is that forward deployed is going to wire the field?
Yes.
At a mile and 3/16? Okay. Because I just worry she's not really very good.
I also worry that as well. I think that the best horse in this race, based on what we've seen, is clearly Poco Mucha.
Okay.
She just doesn't have any speed, really.
Well, do you think she's going to be significantly behind forward deployed in this race? You really think that?
Compact field, I don't really know how far back she's going to be, but I think that Pookie's one that's shown a little bit more speed than she has. I think that the 7, as you mentioned, toward the outside. I think even last time with Sione Flash, we saw her have a little bit more position.
No, we didn't. They went 53 and 2 to the half at a mile and 3/8. She has absolutely no speed whatsoever. We're going to have to completely agree to disagree about this line of thinking. If you want to get forward deployed home, that's fine. I don't agree with you about it being some sort of significant pace advantage in this race. And I'm just wondering how much pace will come into play. And listen, we'll look at Pookie's last race. And the interesting thing about Pookie is that she probably didn't want to finish at a mile and 3/8. She got a great ride and a great trip in this race by Dylan. She moved out. She looked like an absolute cinch in here, and she hung. And maybe she hung because she just didn't quite want the distance. So in this case, Tom Morley finds 3/16 of a mile less, and maybe that's more in her wheelhouse. I still don't know if this race, though, is good enough to beat Pocamucha.
And I think that's completely fair. I think that she's one that they've been trying to figure out exactly where she belongs. And she had a couple of races that would suggest at least trying some of the tougher company that she faced. I thought that it just seemed like the distance was catching up to her in that spot. But I thought she ran well overall to be forward in there where, look, the pace was not fast. But at the same time, we did see a couple of horses end up going by her. And it was contentious down to the line enough to suggest that maybe she can actually build off of what was a career best effort.
I just think she's facing better horses. I thought in her last race she found herself in a relatively subpar non-winners of one, where I think this is a little bit tougher. Now, the horse that David has favored, Louise Proctor, I can understand the argument for her, but my problem is, I don't know, she's just okay. Where is her fast race? I mean, was she compromised a little by the racetrack last time? No question about it. Do I think she's absolutely the other horse in this race? 1,000%. She was 2 wide, then 3 to 4 wide. The rail was good. The horse that won wired the field. The horse that finished second stalked the pace. I thought she ran well last time. She's just not very fast, but I still think that she is very clearly the second best horse in this race.
I do too. And look, I think that's the company that she's been facing with Big Beautiful, with Wrigleyville. We've seen those horses at least have some pretty good campaigns in the later half of this year. So I don't want to hold that kind of company against her, but I do think she is running into a real rival in here with Pocamucha.
Right, we'll see what happens in race number 3. Race number 4, we're on the turf in race number 4, and we'll take a look at the race with Tongue Twister and Sail in the Wind. Sail in the Wind, who draws outside. Got to the rail late in this race, and we both picked Clearwater Beach, who finished 4th in here. Why do you like her?
I thought that she was compromised a little bit at the start in this race where she ended up taking back and just being so far back early on. Then she made this big move going into the turn and really expended a lot of energy where she looked like she was going to loom up towards the outside. And here you can see that she's just flattening out while other horses that had more forward position and were able to get over closer to the fence were able to finish a bit better than she was. But I think that she had made that move and expended all that energy that maybe if it was timed a little bit differently and she had a little bit more position beforehand, the result may have been a little different for her.
That was a very nice way of saying that she got about as bad a ride as you can give a racehorse last time out. She lost her position early, something that rider has a significant problem in doing, especially in turf races. And then he made this insane wide move on the backstretch where he got caught 4 wide the whole way. He continued on wide around the turn. And it's actually kind of amazing that she finished as close as she did to the others, given the difference in trips. You know, Katie did a very good job with Sail the Wind. She ended up getting over the inside in the late stages on that race, even though she had an outside post. Tongue Twister just had a ridiculously good trip in that race. Just sort of gifted a good trip and still couldn't manage to win. Nona Lynn, obviously,
I think she's okay,
fits
but
in
still,
here.
I agree.
Yeah, she just doesn't win, but she's the horse to beat in this race, given the changes. I don't like Sail the Wind. I think she's continuously getting very good trips, and I just wonder if she's going to still get them, and she's just not winning. Whereas Clearwater Beach, unlike the other two, that was her first race against New York bred, her first race here. She gets a rider upgrade to Javier, and she's just I don't see how you can look at that race and not bet Clearwater Beach. Now, she may not win, but she clearly ran better than the other two horses and was just absolutely got the worst ride in there. I am a little scared of Hello Beauty in this race, the 6, and I could have put her second here. If I'd known the 4, who I thought was very interesting, was going to scratch, I probably would have put her second, because I sort of feel like Tongue Twister wins. I don't care if she wins and pays $580. She's just uninteresting to me. But Hello Beauty has got turf races that can win this race. And I know she won in the dirt last time, but I don't really care about that. She's back to the surface she belongs on. And if she's I don't think she's going to be near her 8-1 morning line, but if she is, she's an overlay in here.
I think that just looking at horses like Sail with the Wind and Tongue Twister, they're normally not my cup of tea, where you see that they have these good trips, but they also consistently keep showing up. So I didn't want to be completely dismissive of horses that I think have had things go their way in certain past races, because Sail with the Wind has been very consistent over the past couple of turf starts where she's at least hit the board. So again, not my top pick. I think Clearwater Beach ran much better than she did in that last race. But
the problem with Sail the Wind is she keeps getting good trips and she keeps losing. And the problem is that they don't always get good trips. You know, they don't always get them. And in all likelihood, she's not going to get as good a trip. I think Katie's done a good job getting good trips, but it's just Sometimes it's not always the rider's fault. In the case of the 5, it was a rider that has done it so many times, it's hard not to take it, for what it's worth. Race number 5, Amundsen. I feel bad about Amundsen dropping in for 12.5. He's a 9-year-old. We've got this rule that I could not disagree with more, this random rule of not allowing 10-year-olds to run here, when in a lot of cases they're the horses in fact, they're the horses you worry about the least, the older horses. They know how to keep themselves sound. It's an arbitrary rule that we should be getting rid of, not allowing horses like Snap Decision to run. It's just, you go through the list of the horses that have been allowed to run here, and it's one horse after another that should be running here. We should be more worried about some horses that we are allowing to run here, not Amundsen. The problem is, he'll probably win dropping down to the bottom because it's such a huge drop. I just didn't want to put him on top.
Yeah, I'm with you. I picked him last time. I think that he was part of a pace that started to come apart in the later stages, but at the same time, I just don't want to take him at 8-5 or what's going to be close to that, especially because it does seem like there are some other horses who want to be forward in this spot. And I don't know. I couldn't bring myself to put him on top, but at the same time, I get it if people think that he's just a little bit better.
Well, he doesn't need the lead to win. Sure. I mean, he can rate a little bit, and there is plenty of pace. I agree with you. The 2 has speed, the 4 is a speed, and we'll take a look at your horse. We'll go back on Grey Wing 3 races, and you're hoping that he can get his act together. I am extremely suspect of him getting his act back together, let's say the least.
That's fair. I think that this drop in class will suit him well, though, with a horse that we did see that big win a couple of starts ago on May 8th, but then I think there's some excuses where he just did not get out of the gate all that well. He threw his head at the start in a race that was against Acoustic Ave, so horse that would be so much so favored in here. It'd be crazy. And he did run well. I think the best race to finish second the other day. And I think that just last time he was one that he was forward. It was a sloppy sealed racetrack. He doesn't have that many chances over a wet track. It's not as though he's run poorly on it before, but I think he just kind of got tired against some better horses.
I get all of that. But this is not a barn that wins at a particularly high percentage in New York, and they're dropping this horse to the bottom. I totally get the reasoning. It's why I showed the replay of him. I just wonder if he's just past his expiration day. I'm going to bet on a horse in this race that I think is a total all or none, and I have no issue with people that say, Andy, he tried the dirt once, and he was virtually eased. I don't want him on the dirt, and that's Jimmy's Big Day. But Saffie Joseph is not an idiot. He doesn't win as many races as he does all over the country because he's stupid. And he knows how badly this horse performed in that race. Now, he dueled in a fast pace, but the horse he dueled with ended up winning the race. So it's not as though the race totally fell apart. He knows those things. Now, whether or not he worked this horse in the dirt at Woodbine, I don't know. They have a dirt train track. But he shipped the horse to Saratoga, and he got some dirt works into him, and he runs him in here. It's not like he's never run at lower levels. He's running $5,000 claiming races. He may just be not very good and not a dirt horse, but at least his form is reasonable, and he doesn't, I don't think, need the lead to win this race. I'm going to take a shot with him because I just wanted a new face because I'm sick and tired of a lot of the ones I've seen in here.
Don't blame you.
And I just feel like, why would Saffie Joseph even bring this horse here? He's not getting claimed for 12.5. Nobody wanted to claim him for 5,000, 7,000, and 10,000. So why would somebody want to go in for 12.5? He's a 6-year-old gelding. I'll take a shot. He handles the dirt. I figure he's like an all or nothing. He handles, he can win. He doesn't, it'll just be another losing bet. I make a lot of them. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with the Carle Place, one of 3 stakes, in the late pick 4.
The Cup is calling at the Breeders' Cup with Naira Bets. Download the Naira Bets app or sign up at nairabets.com to get a $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus today. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, and boost your bankroll with lucrative promotions. Play the Breeders' Cup World Championship with Naira Bets. New players sign up now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match only with Naira Bets.
We're back, Sarah and Andy. We are up back with the Carl Place, which, as pretty much most everybody knows, was supposed to be run last Sunday. I couldn't make it, so we decided to cancel and move it there. That's
I
the
knew
real
that was
reason.
why.
That's the real reason
Yeah.
we canceled, because I couldn't be here. We cancel every day I'm not here.
Of
All
course.
right, let's take a look at the Pat Mahoney. The race that they finally made a grade 3 after horses that were also Rans kept winning a race. They made a grade 1 in Kentucky. And yes, I will continue to harp on that absolute embarrassment by the Graded Stakes Committee. As long as I'm around the game, they should be ashamed and they should do the right thing. Having said that, they can make this a grade 1 if they like, because it certainly should be based on the race at Kentucky Downs being a grade 1. Having said it, spiced up. Didn't work out too well for him at Kentucky Downs, huh?
No, I will say, look, he did have some traffic. He was a little bit further back, but he just also had no finish in that race.
He was eased.
Right. I think that they also maybe realized where they were not going with him and perhaps wanted to save him for another day.
Well, I think Junior eased him once he realized that it wasn't working out, and
Yeah.
that's part of the problem with going after the money grab. It works out great for some people, and it works out badly for some others. He runs back to that race. He's going to
He ran
be tough to
huge.
beat.
I thought he ran very well. I think that a horse that has really taken to turf sprinting and hasn't really done anything wrong after, if you can just draw a line through that race in Kentucky, which I feel like you kind of can, he makes a lot of sense in here. And I get why he's the 9-5 morning line favorite, but I think that we both thought that there were at least some other intriguing prospects.
We'll talk about Cairo Caper.
If you just isolate this horse's turf sprints as a 2-year-old, it seems as though this was something that he really took to. And I thought that he actually didn't even run that poorly, given all things considered, in the summer where he was stretching out in distance for the first time and finished 5th. I thought that he was one that he came back with a couple of solid efforts where he was running well to finish in a race at the Penn Mile, where that course was certainly one with some give in it for sure. And look, I think that maybe just a couple of starts where he was huge prices, trying to go the distance in stakes races. Maybe this is what he's really been wanting to do all along. And Phil Schoenthal, it is a small sample size with cutbacks on the turf, but he is 50% in the money, 3 for 16 with a $2.64 ROI.
I just agree. I think he's a horse that should have been sprinting all along, and I'm not sure Phil disagrees with us. I think Phil may agree, and Phil's a sharp guy, and I think he's finally getting a chance to be allowed to run him in a race that he should have been running in all along. I agree with you. I think he's a sprinter, but I also think Out on Bail is very dangerous in this race, and I almost kind of went 1-8-1-6, or even 1-8-6. I have no argument against the 6. He did run badly last time, and maybe it's more than Kentucky Downs, but his other races are too good to ignore him. I think that Out on Bail is another horse. He's got some good races, tough spot to put him in last time coming off the layoff. He's got some good turf sprints. He's more of a sprinter, and I think he's a dangerous horse in here as well. I'm going to use all of them. Listen, no evidence, obviously, not impossible, but he didn't really do any running in the Mahoney. He kind of got third by default. It just feels like the others are better than him. The argument for him is you don't trust Spiced Up after the last race, and you say, well, I don't really like the 1-8, which is fine, and no evidence, therefore, can win. I just think there's too many horses that are likely to be better than him.
Yeah, I think that that's fair. I think at least with him, he has a little bit more of the recent proven turf sprint form where we're hoping that certain other horses are going to take to it yet again. But I totally understand what you're saying.
Just doesn't really have a lot of acceleration. He lost it
Yeah.
1-5 down in Florida, and I know that's sort of a pseudo turf course, but nonetheless, to me that's a real blemish in his career. Race number 7, the Noble Damsel, where Sparkle Blue came out. We'll start with Edict, who I think Edict's the horse to beat in here, and maybe I should have put her on top. For me, it's hard. I liked her last time. She was a far bigger price. She ran very well. She's better stalking. She is likely to be stalking the horse I picked on top, Aussie Gal, in this race. And I have no argument with her, though. I think she's run very, very well when she's got the right trips.
I think that she's had some big performances this year, including when we just started out the year with that second place to dynamic pricing. Then she's running in a grade 1 and actually not running that poorly against some of the absolute best in the division. And I think that she does better forward, yes, but I did like her stalking last time where she wasn't necessarily needing to have that early lead. And
well, it's specific. I mean, they
Yeah.
want to get her to stalk. I've talked to Kendrick about it specifically because I talked to him after the last race when I had bet her, and I said, well, you really gave her a great ride. And he said she doesn't want to be in the front end. She wants to have a target. And I think
It did
that's
seem
why she ran
intentional.
better. And if you look at the race, he's absolutely right. I mean, he absolutely smoked that out perfectly. And if, she's obviously going to be a little bit a shorter price because Sparkle Blue scratched, but if she ends up the third choice of the 3 major contenders here, I'm not sure she's not a good bet. I was hoping Aussie Girl would be a bigger price, though we'll look before getting to her at tax implications. I've had enough attacks. I obviously
Yeah.
hope she does well for my friends, but I mean, she got it done here with a good trip against a pretty weak field. She did run well behind Proctor Street, to be fair.
did.
She was wide. She had to make the first move. It's not clear she really had any worse. And Proctor Street did come back with a solid effort in her next start. So I'm not sure she has races that are better than her last race. I just wonder if at the end of her 5-year-old year, she's just not as good as she once was.
And I think with her, too, running in a couple of spots where she was facing some horses that maybe they're not exactly the kinds that she's going to be running into today, though I do have a lot of respect for Proctor Street. I just think that this field, especially versus the last one that she was in, where, yes, she did get the win, but she was heavily favored to do so, and she was supposed to get the
I
win
agree.
there.
The problem is Proctor Street, simply in front, who, yeah, she got a little fortunate, but she still won a Grade 1 at Keeneland. Special Juan, who's been in tremendous form. Sacred
was far
Wit.
back
She
in it,
actually
too.
ran a huge race in the Matriarch, a race that had absolutely no pace.
Yeah,
so
she
she
was really
is a
far back.
horse that gets some
She has
very good
ability.
horses who's run I mean, there's nobody in this race that has as many good races as she has.
that's fair.
I think
Sure.
her last race scares me a little bit too, and so I'm going to go against her. But I'm not convinced she can't win as far as Aussie Girl in here. We'll take a look at her win in the allowance race before the Matriarch, where she was on the slow pace and didn't run that well, but she was a big price. Try the dirt with her. I don't know. It just seems like William Alden horses run here. She's supposed to be the speed. I took her to wire the field.
Yeah, and I think that, not that she wouldn't be the speed anyway, but her job does get a little bit easier now that she is towards the inside completely with the scratch of Sparkle Blue. I know that Edict is one that they have those intentions to sit off, so her being right to her outside doesn't bother me. This horse has been capable of going shorter distances and is still doing well. So the races that we've seen from her on the turf so far, I mean, beating Saffron Moon. Saffron Moon's not bad. I think that she was just in a little bit
Saffron
over
Moon's
her
good.
head where she was forward and then ended up fading a bit in that Matriarch. And then I don't really hold the dirt race against her whatsoever. So she's one that she has the races overseas to go back to. And then we've also at least seen it here too.
Okay. What am I missing with Feather Boa? I know David likes this horse too. I don't get her at all.
I think that she's just been facing some of the best company, even though it has been a very long time ago.
Wait a minute.
Back in 2023.
Well, she lost to Ever So Sweet, who's
I don't mean
very
here.
good.
I mean, in
You
Europe.
think Gimme Another is really that good? You'd love Gimme Another in this race? She's just sort of okay, and she beat her by 5 lengths. I mean, Gimme Another is running here for Grant Motion, and she beat her by 5 lengths. So I'm not in agreement with you on that one.
All right. I think that she's one that at least has faced some quality company relative to who she's going to be running here. But the problem is with her.
I'm not sure of that. I think you're just assuming that. Have you done a deep dive into who she ran
I
against?
done a deep
all I
dive?
know is
No.
that Gimme Another is the only horse I know that she
Yeah.
ran against. She lost by 4 3/4 lengths to her, and Gimme Another is just, she's sort of a nice horse for Graham Motion, but
Well,
she's not that
What
good.
price would she be in here?
They'd be 3-4 to 1. She beat her by 5 lengths.
Yeah.
I mean, she drowned her the one time they met. I have a stat for Todd Pletcher.
Tell me.
250-day plus layoffs and turf routes. He's 4 for 56 with a 49-cent ROI. And at Naira, he's 2 for 26 and the same thing with a similar ROI, 42 cents.
It's not his move.
No, it's not. Now, she must be working well, this horse. I'm assuming she's working well or something back to it. I get it. I get that she's kind of the wise guy horse in here. I'm just not sure she's like a lot of where the substance is. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're looking for somebody else, it seems as though she's the one that grabbed me at first. But at the same time, I can understand the argument that maybe she's just one that's coming off that layoff. The stats aren't good. She's stretching out in distance again. I get it. There are things to not like for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, she's also got 9 seconds, which bothers me, and she's got an awful lot of short price losses over in South Africa. Now, I'm not looking to knock South African racing. I think it's fun. I just wonder if it's necessarily. Now, listen, maybe the form transfers. I'm not saying she has no chance in here. I just wonder if she's, because this is not a bad field.
No, it's
I mean,
not.
this is not exactly like a listed stake. These are
Sure.
some real legitimate grade
a lot of them
stakes
have
quality horses
recency.
in here.
Yeah.
So I think
I
it's
hear
a
you.
tough race. I get it. I mean, I guess I feel like she's a horse that's supposed to be 12 to 1 in here that's going to be at best half of that. That's my biggest problem with
Okay.
her. I think she's supposed to be a bigger price. I'm not saying she can't win. She just
Yeah.
feels like she's supposed to be a
just think
price.
it's a bad bet.
Maybe she'll get it done. You may be right. So we'll see when races run. I was not a fan. We'll see. The horse I was a fan of today was Crescendo's Reign.
I know, this is a tough
I was
scratch.
really looking forward to betting on him today. He's actually the one horse I liked all day. We'll take a look and what goes on. We'll take a look at the Man in Finance race. I don't want Man in Finance. He might win. I thought this was pitiful.
I think that he's just one that he's losing to a horse in On the Hill who, look, On the Hill is a consistent type, but he does not win that often, and he was able to really just run him down towards the outside in here. And I get that Man in Finance showed that promise early on. He has that 82 buyer speed figure. Kenny B ended up being okay. I don't like his performance at all in the Notebook, but then he's off for a significant period of time, so maybe something went awry. I don't know how good he really is, and I didn't want to take him at a short price when there are other horses who maybe have more of a resume overall to suggest that they've been facing some better types and not losing at the extremely short price that he was last time.
I thought he had he's 3 to 5. He's had an absolutely perfect trip. He moved up like he was going to go by the field. He barely got by Crescendo's Reign, who really, really slammed the gate coming out at the start. And the problem I also have is Danny gets these horses ready off layoffs.
He
I
does.
feel like he
Probably
was
why he's bet
supposed
that
to
much.
win last time, and he didn't win. Obviously, he could win today. I just feel like Longpour. I know he's got a stalk in here, but I'm just hoping he can stalk the horse. If he can run back to his maiden race, albeit a race he got loose, and with Roofer in the race, he's unlikely to get loose. But if he can run back to his maiden win, I believe he's just a mortal lock in this race.
I wasn't necessarily a believer in seeing that maiden type of number again, but at least we saw something that doesn't suggest it lives in complete isolation as an impossibility, where he was forward last time, yes, and didn't get the win, but National Identity is a quality animal that he was facing, and I think that he didn't regress significantly enough to suggest to me that a horse who's still so lightly raced couldn't show up in here with an effort that would be good enough to win.
Yeah, I don't have any reason not to believe his race 2 back. I thought it was good. Maybe Leo's Reward will show up, though he's so unreliable. He was awful last time out. Yeah. The Autumn Days, the 9th race today coming up, and there is a scratch. Oh, Ray scratched Truth and Beauty, the speed in here. It's interesting to see. She did not class up, but she was good last time, though she was with the track. We'll take a look at Tupi, who I have on top, and this is her win last time out, I believe, at Laurel in the Sensible Lady. I thought she'd be in a good position stalking in here, and I don't know. I kind of thought she was the best horse in the race.
Yeah, I think that argument is completely fair. She's one that just seems to show up for the most part in tough spots, even when she necessarily doesn't have the class edge. But I think that in here, with who she's faced overall, I think that she does, as well as having a bit of a pace advantage, and having more of an outside post in turf sprints doesn't bother me as much. So she's been consistent when she's been spotted appropriately. She should be forward, and there isn't really a big argument against her.
No, I think the players in this race are pretty obvious in here. We'll take a look at one that's a little less reliable, and that's Don't Look Back at All, who ran a good race to be second in the Smart and Fancy. What the hell happened to her last time? She was awful.
I have no idea, but it was so bad
She was
that
awful.
I can't go back. Now, at the same
I'm with
time,
you.
if she runs this race,
She might be the horse to beat.
She absolutely. She stumbled at the start of the year. She's running behind Futures now. This is a race that absolutely, I think, wins this one. But we just have not seen her have that level of consistency in a while.
I agree. I don't know what to do with her. I just have so much trouble taking her in this race off that race. And I agree with you. She runs a race 2 back. I don't know if she's favored, but she's certainly one of the horses to beat. Her
That's an
last
effort that
race
wins.
was so bad. I have a lot of love for Danse Macabre. We'll take a look at her Woodbine race 2 back where she won, and I'll let you talk about her.
Yeah, she's one that can be a little bit tactical too. She's able to sit herself in a position that ends up working for her, whether it's coming from far back, if the pace is heating up in some of those 5.5 furlong races, whether she's going into those races over at Kentucky Downs and she needs to be a little bit further back, and also just facing some good horses last time in that ladies turf sprint with AG Bullet. She's one that just seems to always show up, and I have a lot of respect for the kind of versatility that she's shown as well. So it really looked to me like these two.
Yeah, I don't agree with you that she can be forward in here. I mean, she's only forward when they're absolutely crawling, like that race at Woodbine when they went 23-1. And that's why I preferred the 9 to her, because the 9 naturally has more speed to put herself in the race. And that's absolutely why I picked them, because I'm with you. I'm a big Danse Macabre fan. I think she's absolutely good enough to win this race. I know she didn't run well last time. Who knows? Maybe Kentucky Downs, though she has run well there in the past.
also a good
But I mean, my biggest concern with her is that she's just not that fast. She's a bit of a rail runner, which sometimes gets her in trouble in races, and I just preferred the speed of Tupi, and that's why I went at 9.4 instead of 4.9. And I thought tactically the 9 had an advantage from a talent standpoint. I don't think there's any real significant
much
difference between these
disparity,
two.
yeah.
I think they're both pretty good, and I've always really liked Danse Macabre. We'll see how she does, and obviously Miguel has been having a sensational year since taking over
Absolutely.
with his father passing. All right, thank you. That does it for Talking Horses. Thank you for watching. We'll head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code Cup 25, I'll never, not want to say whatever other thing it was.
Match.
Whatever. Match. Spa. Oh, I'll come up with a spa in February at one point. It depends where your brain is at. Anyway, we'll match with $200 your initial deposit, and we'll give you a free $25 bet. We have a $5,000 hit and split in the late pick 5. You'll want to opt in for that at NYRA Lots of opting in coming up. If you're playing Santa Anita, we've got a 10% win bonus. Opt in for that if you're playing Santa Anita. If you're playing Keeneland, we've got a 10% exacta bonus. Opt in for that. And FS1 all day today from 1 to 5:30. I've got a frog in my throat, which may or may not come out before the show. I'm done. Sarah, thank you. Thanks for watching. Chris Griffin's up next. The reprise, the scratch and changes. Have a great day.
The Cup is calling at the Breeders' Cup with NYRA Bets. Download the NYRA Bets app or sign up at NYRABets.com to get a $25 free bet and $200 deposit match bonus today. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, and boost your bankroll with lucrative promotions. Play the Breeders' Cup World Championship with NYRA Bets. New players sign up now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit match only with NYRA Bets.